Yeah, I'm about to drop some knowledge on this podcast about Toyota. Actually,
Yeah, dude, about the drug lord shit.
No, better.
Don't play yourself. Don't confess in stereo.
Just let me know when you're ready.
You know what I mean, dude?
Let's see.
We're going to do a restomod, right?
Yeah, restomod.
So, okay, we were just on the topic of restomods, but you were about to drop knowledge on Toyota.
Yeah,
we'll talk about restomods first.
Okay, so so restomod. So just before our short commercial break that we took here, okay, I will go on record saying that anytime you're doing work on a Corolla, it is now almost a necessity that it's a restomod because it's so old that every time you go to work on something, it's like, well, I'm going to fix this, but now this is broken and that's broken too. And this is already worn, so I might as well fix that. It's like, it's so old. Every time you go in there to fix one thing, a lot of times, especially a car that's not from Cali, you're going to find like 3, 4, 5 other things that it's like, well, I mean, I'm already here. Like, so I think I'm probably the worst person to own a Corolla because I'm kind of a perfectionist. And this car challenges me every day because, dude, it's never going to be perfect. Like, it's not like it was.
They weren't perfect off the line.
Well, that too.
And, like, that's what I've grown to learn.
Yeah. That's what you love about them, though. Like,
oh, yeah, each one's individual. Each one has, like, a different casting mark. Or like, each one has, a different little, they fucked up the painter. Or, like, they have, like on my car, on the left side fender, rear quarter panel, where it got hit, if you look at the part of the OEM Toyota molding for a Koki GTS, you take that off and like there's a little gap in like one of my panels and like straight hole, like just hole, just not rust.
Yeah.
Like OEM, like there's no rust on the car. There's not rust in that hole, but like,
yeah.
Why'd you guys put that there? It's like, why you just stamp the metal better? Like stamp it, brother. And bro, these cars, you gotta love them because each one has, you could just say, oh, it's got character, dude. It's got this and that, but like, bro, they're so high quality, but so third world at the same time. Like they are so it's old Toyota like pedigree and knowledge. Like, yeah, they were slapping these cars out. It's the best selling car of all time, the Toyota Corolla. Our car is in that lineage, whether or not it's a fabulous sports car. It is still a Corolla, and it still has all the reliability of it, and it's still rad in the sense that, yeah, dude, my Corolla had this option or whatever, or this is how many have they made of this year, and my car personally had OEM two-tone paint, and like, brother, whoever was painting that, it was an option, but they still fucked it up. So,
dude, so I'll go on the record right now saying too, all of that and why Toyota's so great. I'm about to drop some knowledge on Shock the Mob here.
Oh shit!
It's because of an American.
Whoa.
Okay, so.
One American went to Toyota.
Yeah. So in the 60s, all you listeners out there, Google Dr. Edward Deming.
Oh.
Basically, he did a little bit of everything, but essentially the Americans didn't really, I guess, buy into like a lot of his business ideas, strategies. He was like he came up with like the system of profound knowledge. He came up with a lot of different things for like engineering and quality metrics. And there's a famous quote from Toyota, basically like, we wouldn't be anything without Edward Deming. Like, he was the American that came over and helped them fix a lot of things like in the 60s. And the American companies at the time, Ford, Chevy, they were like, this guy, he's an idiot. Meanwhile, he was just making Toyota better, and Toyota was just making history.
Yeah, like their assembly line, the production process, that was all him.
Everything, everything. So it's like once you learn that, and of course the other thing is the Japanese are obviously like very meticulous at the time too. So there was like a case that we learned about in school. I think it was like the Ford, might have been like the Pinto, and like there was like a Toyota model, might have been the Corolla. But anyways, the Ford started making a lot of noise after like 40,000 miles. And the Toyotas didn't, right? Yep. So, of course, what do? They pull this Toyota into the Ford, and they tear it down, and apparently there was a silence. And they were like, look at this.
It's
like
completely different.
It's completely different.
Cared when they
like,
slapped
the
together.
tolerances were, like, really, really close. Like, everything was very tight. And they said the thing that amazed them the most was the polishing. Like, the Toyota, like, people on the line were like took time to like polish these parts before they went in the transmission or the engine Meanwhile, like the American models are just like slapped together, you know.
Yeah.
So it's just the attention to detail is
They went
crazy.
so much further.
Yeah.
Just because that little bit of love, man.
I went off on a tangent, but yeah.
No, it's real. I was gonna bring that up. That was one of my arguments next is when you would take a car from the 90s that was a partnership program, or when they had really looked at these cars and took it down. Oh, that oven's ready. When they took these cars down, brother, you know, with the subframe down on the lift, it was a different story.
Yeah.
And that story was one that really went the furthest mile.
Yeah.
Are you hungry? Go grab your pizza, man.
It's good, bro. The extreme fire can wait.
No, but it's gonna catch on fire in the oven.
It's
He's got it.
production, bro.
So it's funny too, because what Jacob was talking about earlier, like, and you see this in forums too, where people are like, oh yeah, like I have a, you know, an 80, like a late 85 GTS, but it has like SR5 seats in it, or like it has like just different seats from a different like model even. And I think that's, you know, in the 80s, like that kind of stuff just happened. It was like rollover, like, oh yeah, we're just gonna like put these SR5 seats.
I don't
in, like,
want
this GTS.
That's not my word.
That's not what?
I'm not going to speak on that.
Okay.
We don't have the info yet.
But we know that happened.
It happened, but I want to see like the hard facts on that because I
okay.
want to clarify it because I see this so often on forums, Club 4AG. People who post like, "Oh, my 1987 Cokie tweed interior," and it's totally SR5 front seats, and it's totally SR5 cloth.
That's fair.
Like a GTV or like a low tier SR in Japan would be, and
right.
a DX or LX or like
Back to your note about production quality back then for specifically Toyota versus the American manufacturers. It's funny that I've worked with technicians that have worked in that era of American cars, and there was always a running joke where like the dealership was like the finishing work for the assembly, right?
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I forgot exactly what the term was, but yeah, once they came off the truck, like the dealers had to do like the quote unquote finishing work.
Yeah.
You got to take the plastic off. You got to
no. Like make sure the door sits on there right and everything works on the car.
Yeah. I wouldn't even expect. I wouldn't sell something like that.
Yeah.
So for Americans, see, this is just, it's the different society. That joke went like over my head because it's like, what do you mean the finishing work? That's your product's supposed to be good, but like, damn, they align in hinges. They like out here with the panel gap measurements. They go, but bro, these Toyotas have panel gap too. You know, like I see so many Corollas, the nicest Corollas. I'm like, yeah, they'll have panel gap here and there. You know, it's OEM paint. I looked at these cars around the world, man, and like, I love to look at the differences. It's very amusing. But should this car be quality? Yeah. Can you make it quality? Yeah, bro. Get a full carbon kit. We got you. Order shock. Carbon junk through shock the mob. We got you, dude. Like, if you go and get that, like, it's all going to fit well. And I would say that this car can be improved. Yeah, of course. Everything can be improved. But from the factory, that's my dream. I haven't driven like a factory A86, and I don't think any of us are going to get to. So that's another reason why with the production line and with everything that people are doing, Japanese tuners today, is they know what that new 86 felt like.
Oh, that's a very good point. People from that era who knows like what a brand
and they're tuning
new
these cars still today.
Like, or like what a brand new one, the options, or maybe like the quirks of like,
and then you've seen that through how many decades? They've seen those problems come up. They've seen those problems come and gone. They've seen the manufacturer's materials change. They've seen the news headlines. They've seen the... Think about it, dude. It's a socioeconomic society with a history and a ledger behind it.
Yeah.
And that's why different era of different Toyota parts or different
maybe
quality.
You had a neighbor who had one, and and he lived with that car for a long time, and you heard your neighbor's complaints, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Or even, dude, you run a shop and you see the car come in for its vehicle maintenance record, and like, bro, all of these people talk. Yeah. These are all community like facilitators in the world that is Japan, or if you're going to own a dealership in South Africa, or like whatever country it's in, whatever domestic market you're in, dude, there's these specific issues and there's these specific like adaptations, or like, you know, depending on the country it was shipped to, different models, and they know, dude. And it's really, really interesting to talk to these people around the world and just see what the Corolla had to offer, because it was offered in so many places, and there's so many places that were lucky to be like graced with the 4AG. So, and it all happened for us with the 86. So there's good times there. And we got to give credit to these people that know what a brand new 86 feels like. Cause dude, that should be the tuning basis. It's like, oh dude, that's how it's supposed to be. Cause you get in the car and you're like, bro, why does it make this sound? And we could just be like, oh dude, it's 30 years old. They're going to be like, no, dude, why does it make this sound? Like, That's not, you know, and we would never know.
Yeah.
How are you supposed to? And you can't blame yourself for that. So it's very hard to be, I would say, like brought up in a lost art, or one that is, you know, sufficiently declining. And let's keep going.
I think it's changing in different ways, you know, like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just think about just how little safety our cars have to now, you know, so like what's important to them now should still be those things of quality.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they unfortunately make sacrifices sometimes, you know, like, hey, we've got to have so many airbags, so many this, so many that. So like they start finding ways to cut cost, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So
I want to get someone on the podcast to do the statistic for the crash test ratings of cars in the 80s in Japan, and maybe compare that with deaths from automobile related collisions, or I don't know, like Pintos and shit were blowing up back then, eh?
Yeah.
So, you know, whatever's going on with that.
I think it'd be hard though.
But compare that with the US.
Oh, okay.
Definitely, man. And
Japan to
it's,
US.
It's like I'm saying, the environment.
Yeah, it's
everything's different, brother.
Yeah.
And like, it's so
But their
hard to
highways
tell
were
it.
different too in the 80s, weren't they? I mean,
Bro, they're different always.
yeah.
Because they're slower. The
Right.
society is fast, but it's the scale of the speed is what I like to say, because all of the cars are scale because the buildings are smaller. We were just talking about this with this beautiful suspension location at Annex. Brother, you guys have so much space. You know, and it's very gracious to see this. And I think that anyone in Japan that would see this space would be like, oh, because of course there's large spaces there, but it's all to scale. And a lot of these Corolla guys out there, they're not doing it a large of a
Right.
shop, but I would say, yeah, the scale of the business, it's huge, yeah. But again, it's the space that everything has. You got to remember, it's the places. It's a one government running the size of California. So if California had its own like country government, like just imagine how efficient everything would be. So everything's different, and that's why there's a domestic market. And that's why there's different add-ons and different options, because they could handle it, and it was domestic. So, yeah, man, I'm trying to spread the information from that I got from people that knew what a new Hachiroku was like, you know, brand new, like,
Yeah.
you know, people that worked in the dealership lot, or people that, because dude, that's ultimately people that receive like Toyota training, or people that went in there to buy the new car and remember the smell of it. It's like, bro, that's beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. I would love to experience that.
What do you think though about like, and Ezekiel, you can chime in too. I mean, you know, as time goes on, like technology changes, you know, right? So like we have Annex suspension now. I mean, the coilovers that Annex makes, I mean, nothing was, I mean, they had things like that available, right? But Annex is obviously unique in its own. So, I mean, think of like all the technology changes, even if you think about engine management, how much that's changed, right? So like, you know, you put a 20 valve blacktop in a car now and you tune it. Think how much better the tuning is probably going to be now, maybe, than 10, 15 years ago, right? So I don't know. So like in a car, like, so sometimes when I think about like the 8.6, it kind of reminds me of the old Mustangs. It's like, go out and try to find a stock, like 5.0 Mustang. It's like, you can't do it basically. Or people want a gazillion dollars for them, right? And so that's the thing with like the Corolla now is like, I see a super clean like stock Corolla and people post it, you know, 10, 15,000, 20,000. And I'm like, okay, like it's clean. Incomplete, man. Like, I don't know. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, you know? It's like, I don't know. I'm just not somebody whoever, my whole thing is passion. Like if somebody wants to build a Volkswagen, like I'm not really big into Volkswagens necessarily, but if somebody has their heart and soul into like a Volkswagen Golf, whatever year, mid 80s, like if they're passionate about it, then I'm all about it. You know what I mean? I'll give them the time of day. And that's just how I am with the Corolla too. Like I'm super passionate about it. When other people are passionate, you know, I just hate when I go online and see people like, oh my gosh, you know, you're charging $8,500 for a Corolla. Like you're crazy. Like, I don't know. I just feel like people who say that either can't afford to pay that much or they just think that, I don't know, that's just their opinion, you know? And I just like, the Corolla is different. It means something different to me, I guess, you know? Like I wouldn't look down on somebody who would pay 10 grand for a super clean Corolla, you know? Because it's just...
A lot of it's how many miles are on that car. I think that's the issue with a lot of these car sales recently.
You think it's miles or is it years?
These people... you buy a car with 178,000 miles on it, bro, you gotta change out those bushings. You know, you gotta. There's a lot of money and labor, or a lot of time and labor that's gonna be spent on maintaining that car. I would say usually, and this is coming from a person who shops in California, as like someone that bought their car in California. These cars are definitely gonna need some work, and I can't speak for out of state people, and I'm sure they'd be laughing at me right now, saying like, we're over here cutting out the quarter panels, Jimmy. Like, you know, like I got my wolf steel panels and I'm gonna replace the rust tonight. And it's like, we don't got to deal with that here too much. I mean, sometimes you do, but I mean, other places we're not so lucky. And my thing is I see these cars being sold in Japan for like 8, 9K, and they're very nice. So like the car that we just picked up in Japan is it was like 9K. And if you look at that, it's got, you know, TRD shocks on it, and it's a JDM MapSense engine, and it's got a DigiDash, and you know, it's a very nice car. Yeah. And when I see these stock cars, it's like, yes, it's a US spec Corolla. So like, if you want a US spec Corolla, yes, by all means, like, yes, dude, if it's worth it to you, like, yeah, bro, like all US, none of it's cracked, and none of it, you know, it passes brake and lamp inspection like I had to on my car. See, I'm like a special case because, you know, I started with a Virgin GTS. It was nothing but original, nothing but stock, nothing had been changed. There was a maintenance record on it that was from Toyota that was literally just on the timing valve. I didn't have any with the timing cover, you know, like the timing belt number.
Little
so
sticker
like,
they do.
So like that's you know, that's your maintenance. And it was a pick and pull car. So I mean, did I start with a stock car? Yeah. Not everyone can do that. So this whole restomod thing, everyone can make their car stock again. Mm-hmm. If you have the body, dude. I was just talking about these guys in other parts of the earth that are cutting out their body and replacing it with like good steel, or, you know, get another set of quarter panels. And I mean, that's all possible. And like for these Cali cars that are like unmolested, or these you know, Oregon cars that have the VIN tag still on the fenders, and you know, their paint's not faded, and it's the original GTS spec, and you know, it's been maintained, and it's got a record, or dude, these got to be worth something. And I think that preservation of that vintage item through how many decades of use and abuse, like, bro, I go to the grocery store and get a brand new dent, and these cars got no dents on their door. Or like these cars, it's like, bro, how'd you do that? Yeah. You know, it's like, what did you do? Where did you go, brother? Like, and they could tell you, yeah, I went down 14 miles every day on my commute to work, and then my grandmother died, and I didn't like drive the car anymore because it was her car and she never used it. You know, maybe she was 80. And you were using her car to get to work because, I mean, fuck, it was that time. You weren't going to take the bus. You weren't going to call your friend. You didn't have a phone. Just
Pagers, man.
Car. Yeah,
Pagers.
that's what I'm saying. I don't know. I'm talking on my ass right now, but I'm saying, yeah, dude, like that's how it gets there. And I would say that, again, it's the environment. Of course, these cars are going to have TRD shocks, hopefully. Like, of course, these cars are going to have like a DigiDash or things that are domestic. Right. And it's all about what you want to pay for. So it's hard to like opportunity cost. We were talking about that earlier. Mm-hmm. And I would say that a car is what it's worth to its owner, you know, to its buyer. And it's very hard to discern that number. And, you know, having to deal with a hit and run right now and like legally have to discern that number. It's like, ugh, just let me enjoy my car. Like, who gives a fuck what I paid for it? Yeah. Sorry for saying fuck.
On the podcast.
Yeah, dude.
It's all, hey man, there's no rating, right? I mean, or it's rated.
Is it PG-13?
It's specifically explicit rating, so we can swear.
Whoa, dude.
Yeah.
Just
dropping knowledge on Jacob right now, man.
Just top my top, dude. You just blew my top off.
But so that's the thing though. Like on a resto mod, is like,
I don't believe in it, bro. Just do it right. Just, dude. There are enough seats out there right now. So I was doing this, and I was like, I really want to get Toyota to make parts. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, dude, in the meantime, while Toyota's like working on making parts or whatever they're doing, or
are they gonna make parts again? For
I don't know,
because Nissan's doing it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's so many companies doing it,
dude, and you know why they're doing it.
It's my goal to get them to make it, and I mean, like, it's like putting my life's work into is to get them to make OEM parts again. And honestly, man, I could just find you some nice seats. You know, like, you want some rear seats? Like, bro, let's get you some rear seats. Or like, you know, you want a new rear bumper? Like, bro, let's go and get it because someone's got it.
Yeah. So Brandon, I'm curious. So, why do you think the reason is Nissan's reproducing like new old stock or like parts for these, like specifically like old Skyline, right?
Well, I think it's probably twofold. I think that the following that those cars have, not just in Japan but also here, I think also like the imports, man. like the imports coming in now, like here. I mean, Jacob was talking about this earlier, but like we already know that there's people buying Type R's, like NSX's, Supras that are like sitting, waiting for 25 years.
That's right.
To come here. So like these guys, like some of these rich guys, like they have storage facilities with cars just sitting, waiting. Right. So like I think Nissan knows too. Like honestly, these parts are 25 years old. Like manufacturing processes back then were not as complicated as they are today, and they can probably like remanufacture some of these parts pretty easily. Like I don't know if you saw the article. OEM. Like the new Supra, they said like one of the front fenders on the new Supra is they had to design a new machine to make the front fender or the rear fender, one of the fenders, because it's so like new and like different than they've ever done. But like think an old Corolla, like it's probably pretty like all these stamped steel, like
stamp it together.
Yeah, like honestly, it would be pretty easy to do. So I think
see why they don't.
I know. So I think
my life's work, dude. Like I think about this every single day.
Yeah.
So I was thinking in the meantime, like, bro, we could just find you some cool shit. You know what I mean? Like it's out there.
Yeah.
So I really wish that they would get on the boat because think about it. They have like a Z restore program.
Right.
They're producing parts for the R32 because the 25-year rule.
Yeah.
You know, mandated them in. And why are you gonna sit here and be a business and make brand new rear bumpers?
Yeah.
Have brand new plastic for brand new lips that I offer. And not make a front bumper. Like, why are you gonna go ahead and do that? Like, what am I not gonna do? Crash? Like, of course I'm gonna crash. Like, I suck. Like, of course, dude. Like, let me bump into some lady at the grocery store. Like, bro, I'll cop a new bumper. Let me cop one. Like, why are they just not gonna do that? You know how many people are gonna buy like 5 or 6 too?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like, bro, I'd buy like 5. I'd buy like 20.
Right.
Bro, because you know they're gonna bullshit and phase them out again.
Yeah.
And it's like they're gonna be cheap. I don't know, bro, but it's a goal of mine.
So I know in 2006 when I had this silver 11, I ordered a brand new front bumper for it from Toyota. It was $140, and it was in Cincinnati. And I guess one of the reasons, that Toyota like put an end to that was Department of Transportation. Because essentially the Department of Transportation said, hey, these bumpers are not DOT approved. These are what came out in Japan. And like, if you've ever lifted a front GTS bumper,
I can't. It's too heavy.
It's heavy. It's like
we gotta get Max Perez
it's
on
like
this.
It's like 50 some pounds, right? I think, and the rear one's like 50 some pounds because they had like the reinforcement. So yeah, and so on the doors, like a US model door has beams in it.
Yep.
Right, and the Japanese ones don't. Right. Yep. So like again, it's just different stuff. But anyways, that was one of the things that I had heard about the bumpers was that that's why
it was okay. So the story is very like cloudy. I would say as like a new young person in the game trying to talk about this, but this is like a cap for later. We should get Max Perez on the podcast, and have him explain the story of meddling with business and getting greedy and having the Department of Transportation come on your hustle. So the bumpers can't be sold for any of us in the USA. Thank you, greed.
No.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll let the story go. But
okay, fair enough.
I
don't know anything about that story.
Yeah, bro, it's crazy. So when I heard it, I was like, "Damn, dude! So this is why we don't got no U.S. supplies." I don't, dude, $120 for a bumper, like $100, like, bro, could we please, like,
it's crazy,
bro, brand new bumpers, dude. I mean, I just got mine repaired for like $280, and it wasn't even that great of a job, and I was like, ugh. Like,
So I got a crazy story that I gotta say really quick. So so right before I messaged you, right? So I bought this car. I had it shipped from the state of Washington. And my buddy Ben in Cincinnati, shout out to Ben Millman. It was over Christmas, and I was like, dude, I'm looking for different parts for this car, but I kind of forgot. Like, it's old and it's starting to get hard to find parts. So it's like, yeah, I'm looking for a Zenki front bumper, and he still has his 8.6, but he's been kind of out of the game, if you will, for a little while, even though he still has his car. And he goes, oh, show me a picture. What's it look like? So I show him Zenki front bumper. He goes, oh. He goes, yeah, I have one of those. You can have it. It's 2 years ago. Dude, 2 years ago. His dad runs a Honda, like a shop like this, but he only works on Hondas. And he's like, yeah, it's in my dad's shop. It's been hanging up for like 10 years.
Hang him.
Dude,
don't warp your bumpers.
Dude, I met him at like a chicken store, like I think it's like Tendertown or something like that is what it's called in Cincinnati over Christmas. And he brings out this brand new with the sticker still on it, dude. Zinke front bumper. Just gave it to me.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so it's crazy, dude. Crazy. Yeah, and it's so in North Carolina. There's a scene there, but it's a lot of older guys, that have had their cars for a long time or they've been in and around. Some of the prices on items now, they're just like, this is crazy, it's like too expensive because they know they knew the game when it was cheap, right? Like you could go to Toyota and get a bumper for $140. So like if you tell them like, oh yeah, I can find you like a new bumper for a Terreno, whatever, and you tell them, $500, $800, they're like, oh my gosh, what happened? Like that's way too much. So it's just, but the scene there's good. I mean, it's, there's a place about an hour from us, called Piedmont. Basically, like you can rent it out, do autocross there, drift, whatever. So I've got a buddy, shout out to Alfredo with the S2000 motor in his 8.6. So I met a few good 8.6 guys, but it's definitely not like the scene that it is here. The one thing I will say about living in North Carolina is they don't, at least so I live in Durham specifically, they don't really use like salt on the roads. So there's two things. It's that, but also when I first moved there, I noticed a lot of older cars. And I didn't really understand why. So in North Carolina, you pay property taxes on your vehicle. So like people can't afford to buy new cars all the time because it's expensive. So you see a lot of older Toyotas, a lot of older cars in general because it's expensive to own a new car. Like every year you go to get it in like your plates or registration, you have to pay property tax. So my Corolla obviously was like super cheap. But yeah, like if you own like a new car, it's expensive there.
Do you guys have like safety or like emissions inspection?
So yeah, 35 years. So last year my car was 34. I had to get they like I didn't have to get emissions, but they had to do like a safety inspection. So they just made sure like the lights work, the horn works. But once it hits 35 years, you don't have to get anything. It's just like.
Do you guys have emissions inspection at all?
They do, but I don't know what year it cuts off.
What is your emissions inspection look like?
I have no idea. I've never had to do it because I have a company car.
Yeah.
And then I have my Corolla, and that's it.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
So I think if it's like the car is between like 5 model years, like if it's 0 to 5, they don't make you do like the emissions because I guess they just figure it's so new. And then it's like 5 to like, I don't know, 10 years or 5 to 15 years, like you have to do it. And then I don't even know, honestly, all the specifics.
Wow, okay.
But I do know they have emissions there. So yeah. And then of course the property tax as well in the car. So just, yeah.
That's wild. Like different. I had no idea about the property tax.
Yeah.
So that's wild. Like keeping older vehicles running because that's the affordable thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Each state's a little bit different with that, you know. So, but yeah, man, it's good. So this is an 85 model and it's got like 192,000 original miles on it. And it's in great shape. I've spent a lot of money with Jacob. As soon as I got my rear bumper, I put it on. It had like a HKS bumper on it. And like as soon as
an HKS bumper on it.
No, sorry, it had an HKS exhaust.
Oh, okay.
As soon as I installed the bumper, like the HKS exhaust was like touching.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, no, I didn't even start the car.
Yeah.
I was like, all right. So then I hit up Jacob and I got a I don't even remember. Brave RS Harada.
Yes, sir.
Exhaust. Yeah. So I put that on.
Brand new at Shock was just under 700 shipped via EMS 1 to 5 business day airmail.
You can get the Brave catback.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Would you like one? Nikki Sampaga has given it such praise, but I'm not too sure I believe the praise anymore. I think it's a great catback. I think it sounds great.
Yeah.
Do you know what diameter it is?
60.
60
60, yeah. 60. Yeah, dude, no.
We'll get
funny.
some dynos on the exhaust that I brought home. We'll save that for another podcast.
Yeah.
Okay.
I brought home a titanium exhaust from the 90s.
Nice.
So it's a N1 use exhaust.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So those regulations are stock header,
Yeah.
stock exhaust system down to the header and the downpipe and like the O2 sensor, all that stuff, stock. After the cat, I mean, I guess you could do test pipe. After the cat, whatever you want.
Yeah.
That's the usual regulation.
So go ahead. You were saying your HKS exhaust touched that bumper, so you're like, no,
took
don't
that
even start
off.
the car.
Ordered a new exhaust with Jacob. I spent a lot of money with Jacob the first year. I don't even know. I think I tallied it up once. It was a lot. Anyways, yeah. But like you said, I mean earlier, my first couple transactions and just like dealing with Jacob, I was like, all right, this guy is legit. He's gonna be able to get me like what I want, and I can trust him. So still have so many parts, dude. I just literally need to like ship the car down here and like have you help me put them on. I have Annex suspension, so awesome. I was super happy too to see. I think it was Grant maybe, or it was somebody that responded because I had posted on Club 4AG. So yeah, dude, I was a lurker for a while, but I've been a member. And dude, it is important, man. I heard like some of your podcasts about people and like Facebook and like the good knowledge just disappearing. And I do believe that, man. So like shout out to everybody out there. We should continue to use Club 4AG. Let's get back on that wagon and just ramp it back up. But no, man, a lot of good knowledge out there. And I think Grant had posted some stuff about the Annex suspension and just the Swift springs and everything else. So yeah, I've got that to put on, a ton of other stuff. So.
What spring rates did you end up getting?
So I went 6 front, 4.7 rear.
Good,
yeah.
Good. Yeah, I'll say go soft.
Yeah.
Soft. I'm going to go down 2 more rates also. I'm doing 8 and 6. I need to go back down.
I think I rode in your car last time we were here. And I mean, it still felt good though, so.
But yours will feel better, so.
Yeah. What are you running right now? You've got some
Japanese.
What are you running right now?
Jacob runs Japanese spec everything. Japanese spec springs, alignment, everything.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
This guy taught me alignment with like string and tape measure last time. Yeah. Go ahead. What spring rates you run, Jacob?
So right now I have a few different springs. I have a 9, an 8, and a 7 in the front. And then
what's in there right now? 9?
I'm not gonna say what's in there right now. So then
why are you not gonna say?
Because I got too many to choose from, and I keep switching them out. I'm testing. I don't know what I want to run yet.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
So I used to run an 8, and like, I mean, it's very typical. I'd say my shocks are blown, so it's really not that great to test right now. But honestly, man, I'm running 6.5. That's cut in the rear, so. It's big, stiff, and it's fun. But all my friends are running the same thing. They're all running high for spring rates, and I noticed that people tend to go down in America. I don't know if I'm with it. So I think it's interesting to hear you guys say like these low rates, and I'm like, ooh.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because it's the road quality in America.
Right.
Both Tako Aono and Kaicho Run Free recommended lower spring rates because of weight transfer.
Yeah. I think that's driving style. He told me to get a 7 as well. Like I said, I have the 7.
Yeah.
He drove my car up in the Toge. Actually, I can't talk about this. He did drive my car. Can you delete this? I can't. I really can't. You have to delete this part.
Yeah. No, delete.
Damn, dude. I didn't say anything, man. Yeah. So he drove my car one time, and he was like, bro, this car sucks. And he said to get a 7K spring, so I came home with one. And honestly, man, I need to get new shocks before I make a decision. I have TRD shocks sitting and like, meh, I'll test them. But starting with an 8, I feel like a lot of people run an 8. And I feel like you need to go up a little bit. The car is old and it's not as stiff as it used to be. So like you need some of that back. And a lot of people aren't running enough bracing or enough, they're not spot welded cars. They're just, the cars like mine, they're literally just spin sitting, just throw some coilovers or throw something on it, and it needs some of that stiffness back. So for someone that's not going to put too many upgrades on their car, like I feel like spring rate, dude, that's a big thing to change. You can really, really feel it, even if you're not going to have so much other work done on your car. So it's interesting to hear the debate. I wanna ask those Annex guys too in another podcast.
On another podcast.
Yeah, because it's long, but like, because dude, I get questions all the time. People ask me like every single day. Like, dude, I ask this, like, so many people in my DM or like so many people on the shock are like, yo, dude, what should I do with suspension? What can you help me import? And I'm like, oh well, it really just depends on what you want to do with the car. And a lot of people, I feel like in America, dude, there's no environment. That's the thing. It's like there's no sports land. There's no local. There's nothing to hit consistently where you can say, hey, dude, I'm going to change to a 6 today. I want to change to a 7. Be like, oh, I can go here in at 55. Oh, I can go in at 60. Oh, I can do third here. It's hard to have that environment. And I feel like it's scientific in Japan because, dude, it's repeatable. You're out there, dude, you can go and send it on a Wednesday afternoon. Then you can go and send it on a Saturday afternoon. Then there could be like a cool comp the next weekend. And it's like, oh, dude, cool. And there's a nice class to race in. And it's hard to do this comparison and all of this whatnot. I mean, I guess you could do autocross. That's what Taco Ono and a lot of the guys got scientific with in the early 2000s. And I think that's all great. But, dude, circuits, it's a different environment. And I really think we need to up the infrastructure here in America to really match our hobby. Because it's like having a bunch of skaters, bro, and no park to go to. We need these parks, bro. We need to get involved.
I totally agree.
Thanks.
Yeah, I totally agree. There's racetracks in general in the U.S. are all dying, so I totally agree.
And I think like your perspective on that is perfect, and especially as the new 8.6 is really catching on, and I feel like a lot of people. I like the car. I feel like it's almost like two different owners sometimes, like some of like the new 8.6 guys could care less about the old 8.6, and vice versa. But I feel like eventually already, if it hasn't happened already, like we talk about this car being like nostalgic and vintage. I mean, dude, you can go get a brand new like 8.6 or FRS for so cheap and like hit the track and like beat the hell out of it and then go get parts at Toyota the next day. Yeah. Where like ours you can't. So but yeah. How are we doing on time, man?
Yeah. Why don't we looks like they're cleaning up. So why don't we this is a good topic. Why don't we end on this topic? That I want to hear Jacob talk about this too. So the new and old 8.6 chassis. How do you feel about this?
I had the pleasure of renting a brand new GT86 in red in Japan as my first experience of driving the Shingata Hachiroku, and that's like the new edition.
What's Shingata?
Shingata is like the new model. It's got the heritage of it. It's the brand new press. Like they stamp in these cars again. That's what they decide to stamp, and that shit's sick. That Toyota's making this again, man. Like that's a fun sports car, and I didn't think that I would get the experience of having like a right-hand drive on my first time, but we rented it for the week and it was hot.
Yeah. Hold on. Hey Grant, I gave you the FRS keys.
Speaking of the 8.6, huh?
I gave you the FRS keys to drive home. Yeah. Okay.
Grant, how do I pay you?
Just like get Venmo, whatever. We'll work it out, man.
I can Venmo. You want me to Venmo you tonight?
Dude, don't worry about it. I wrote some instructions on there. We'll settle like whenever it's done.
All right.
Yeah. So thank you.
I'll send you money tonight.
Yeah, dude. We'll see you, dude.
Great seeing you.
All right, man.
Great seeing you, man. Yeah. Catch you around.
Okay.
For sure. Yeah. You'll probably see my car here next. I'll probably just have it shipped here. Just don't let Jacob near it. It'll end up with like 10K front springs, 11 rear. Like
dude, you have some crazy shit on. Then you'll be so fast, bro. You'll be so fast. Hey, dude, Highway 9's repaved.
Yeah, dude.
I didn't know it was even that bad.
Bro, Highway 9's repaved and it's not bad, bro. It's a circuit. It's a circuit, dude.
No, I'm saying like I didn't know it's that bad enough to like need repaved. It was always smooth when I'm there.
Bro, do it now. There's no, it was like, hey mom, can I have a PSP? And she gets you like
you're gonna have
your
to edit
friends
that
like fucking 4 PSPs.
Like, I mean,
there was no.
I try to
I'm
keep
not
us on
complaining,
topic.
You know what I mean? Like you paid it, like by all means, bro. Like, so I'm happy. Yeah, dude, 100%. And then Pinehurst repaved too. Yeah.
I'll check it out, man.
Hey, dude, go, dude.
Are you
Test
guys?
the suspension up there.
We're wrapping up.
Yeah.
We're wrapping up.
Maybe I can help you put away the
yeah, I'll help you put away anything you need.
Yeah,
Okay.
dude, we got
Yeah.
Take
Okay.
some of that pizza, will you? Is there still some left?
Is there pizza left?
Take some of
Stream
that.
fire left, dude.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Wrap up.
So,
All right.
okay. So we stopped at Jacob got to rent a right-hand drive Shingata Hachiroku.
Nice, bro.
Nice.
Nice, bro.
So how was that experience?
That experience was breathtaking. Ah, Toyota, what a feeling. I was mesmerized. That car handled so great. I was watching a hot version video before this, and it happened to be, it was volume 115. It's like, you can check out the brand new 8.6 impression. It was right, dude. Because I was like, oh, I really didn't like the car before I drove it. And I don't know if it was just because it was in Japan and right-hand drive, and then we had the freedom of the rental car. It's a great car. I just wish it didn't have that silly boxer. I'd rather be like a vertically opposed, like, you know, like something nice.
Brandon, have you driven the new chassis yet?
I have, but it's been a while. I drove it the first year it came out in 2013.
So what was your impressions specifically comparing it to the original 8.6 chassis?
Gosh, it's hard to even like compare, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely it feels a little like obviously heavier to me. Just like
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard. I mean,
not
it's
as
just
fast.
yeah. I mean, it's just new age, right? Like you've got think of that thing probably has what 7 airbags.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
at a minimum. You don't. I think you get a pretty good road feel.
For being a modern car.
For being a modern car, I think you do, and I think that Toyota and Subaru did a. I mean, on paper, it seems like they thought a lot of things through, right? Like the weight, right? The fact that the motor sits lower in the car to give you like, right, lower center of gravity. But dude, it's new age. And actually, you had somebody on in your podcast that talked about it or spoke about like Toyota put these tires on the car for a reason. Like,
oh, okay.
man, that was such a good podcast.
Yeah,
I don't remember who that.
CSG Mike.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, man, that was like, it was like hanging on every word that dude said because he was just such a wealth of knowledge. But yeah, he's like, you know, why would you put the stickiest tires on this car? Like these tires are designed to like go out and be able to have fun on. And so I feel like new chassis wise, try not to get too off topic. I like it. I do. I think it's modern. I think I love all the aftermarket support for it.
Yeah.
And I love that, honestly, you can go out and find one with 50, 60,000 miles for a decent deal, you know? And then if you break it, you can go find parts for it.
Yeah.
That's like the one thing about our cars. That's just, you know, it's like once you put a $1,400 Zinke bumper on the back, probably stupid in the first place. But once you do that, then you're paranoid about where you park it. You know, where like these, it's like, you know, you can get a new bumper anytime you want.
Yeah.
So
even I know it's hard to say, but like the chassis is essentially disposable at this point.
Yeah.
Whereas
Brand new body.
Yeah. Whereas like Corolla is like not.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're not getting another Corolla.
Right.
Essentially.
Yeah. Like once it's gone for sure. So, yeah. But you know what, man? It's just going to different meets and stuff like that. I just love, man, when people seem like what I love about the Corolla is it really is. It's like a love it or hate it. Like when people know what it is, they're like, oh my gosh, dude, are you serious? Come on. This thing's amazing. Like I love this car, you know, and people will always ask you if it's for sale. Like if you roll into like a new, like if you roll into like a meet with like a new 8.6, like it's cool. But like no one's gonna be like, oh my gosh, dude.
Or you'll be one of 10, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So, and even like a new Supra, like, oh wow, like when you see someone with a new Supra, there's that like little bit of jealousy that I have because I'm like, oh man, it's a new Supra, that's sweet. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, that dude had money and just went out and bought that.
Yeah.
You know, like when you see a Corolla on the road, you know 110% that dude is passionate about that car.
Or he had to put the work in.
Or she.
Yeah. Put the work in and put in the effort. Like it's not easy to keep that thing on the road.
Exactly. Like you know, like blood, sweat, and tears is in that car. And you know, all of us, like we could have other cars. And some of us do have other cars. But like as a passionate car, like that's the car we chose, you know? And I love that because it's just like when I see one on the road, I'm like, yep, this is like an understanding, you know, like when I see another Corolla owner or like, that's probably like why we would just all click because it's just like having a Corolla and just the passion that we have for this car, you know, it's just strong.
How do you feel about that?
I mean, it's no OEM spec. My Corolla's not OEM spec anymore, but I think Jacob can still be friends with me. Yeah.
I see you silently nodding in the corner. How do you feel about this?
I think he's ready to trade in his 8.6 for a new 8.6. I think that's what it is, man.
Hey, in the video, it was sick to see them introduce the Toyota 8.6
Yeah.
when it debuted in racing suits.
Yeah.
Akio Toda and the other lead designer of the 8.6, I forgot his name. Bro, that was sick. That was so hard for them to come out in racing suits in Japan and be like, oh, and to really bring that pedigree back to the 6-speed. So I'm not gonna knock the manufacturer.
Yeah.
I'm gonna knock the engine.
I love that they did it, man.
Yeah,
honestly.
I love what they did it too.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's not like the same as the Corolla, but I mean, I wouldn't expect it to be. You can't. The 86, the 86, pinnacle of expertise in like car building, like 100%. I mean, you could probably call me like, oh, do you just love it? It's your first car. I'm like, bro, like, it's really not that serious of a car, and people take it so seriously, and it's so great, and it's so cool, and you know, they were a little expensive. You know, you look at the sticker. I was at Radwood recently, and we saw the sticker price of S13. Apparently, it was like 13.2, and that's not bad because the sticker price for my car was probably around that. You know, 12.6, 13.2, like 13.12. Like, I don't know, bro, but they were expensive for the time, a little bit. But it's the GTS, and why are you gonna try and make that car again? I get it, you can try, but
you're not going to be able to make the same car again.
No, dude. It's art. That thing was art. You know, the moment, definitely the artistic setting of it, like the cultural setting of it, like the economic setting of it, who was working at Toyota when it was designed, you know, who picked out the color schemes, all the team. It was the team. It was that time. There's different people doing it now. And I really applaud them for trying. It's great. No sauce on the car, like no shade thrown at it. I just wish Toyota made it. That's it. I think that's where the cars differ. Toyota didn't fully make the new 86, and Toyota totally made the old 86. Like, it's so Toyota. Like, I look at every part of it. But yeah, people are gonna be like, well, you know what? Yamaha did design the engine, or I don't know if they designed. I can't be quoted on this, but I mean the Yamaha influence on the engine and just everything Yamaha on the first engines, and just it's hard, bro.
You know, I think it's interesting about the new 86 too is like, think about the biggest gripe. Like, what's the biggest gripe you always hear about the new 86? Power.
Yeah.
Why?
Isn't
Why
that,
do they care?
That's what I'm saying.
They're slow.
That's like not why
Those
the car.
people are slow.
It's not why what the car was designed for, right?
Slow.
Like, it wasn't designed to have 250 horsepower or 300 horsepower, right?
My gripe is that on paper it has 200 horse, but I think because of like the tuning, it doesn't feel like it. It's got a dead spot in the middle. Yeah, that's my gripe, is that it's not that it has a lack of power. It's just like you don't feel that the full 200 horse is there.
Right.
Yeah. Or on the other side of that is like, I don't need 200 horse, but I want something that revs all the way to 9, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Why didn't they just put a cool bike engine in there? Why didn't they just put, you know, bro, they got all these engines, they got all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's 2019.
Well, again, like, go back to the weight. Like, how much does a new 86 weigh compared to, like, our 86?
Yeah.
It's probably, I don't know, 500, 800 pounds heavier.
Substantially heavier, and not knowing the numbers, but just from me driving both chassis on the track, like substantially heavier.
Right.
Yeah.
It's probably like a 2,800 pound car or something, and ours is like a 2,000. Well, just maybe.
No, dude, ours are like 21, 22. The USDO ones, they fat.
Yeah.
They thick.
They thick.
They're so thick, dude.
Oh man, but that's awesome. Yeah, no, we just both appreciate you having us on for sure.
Yeah, bro, good times, man. The extreme fire pizza. Thanks, Brandon.
Extreme fire pizza.
Thank you guys both for coming down.
Dude.
I mean, you came from out of state, and like Jacob lives far enough, so
yeah.
And I drove the Corolla. Drive your Corolla. Yeah. Drive it.
Are you talking to me or talking to
everyone?
the audience?
Everyone.
Yeah, dude, yeah,
drive your Corolla.
Yeah. We'll what's it called? If you listen to this podcast, the thing you should get out of it is drive your Corolla.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There we go.
Definitely.
All right. So at the end of every podcast, would both you guys like to give any shout outs? We'll start off with Brandon.
Yeah, man, just give a shout out to you and the guys at Battle Garage for having us on, but just continuing to support the chassis and just the community. I think that's like the biggest part is like, once you're in this community and you meet good people, you know, like you just continue to help each other out, you know, whether it's parts or knowing somebody. That's what I like. This is a different community, I feel like, you know. Shout out to Jacmob for getting me, like, my car would not be where it is today for sure without him. Yeah, man, shout out to my brother for getting me into cars. you know, because I would not be into cars not for him for sure. But no, man, that's it. What you got for us, Jacob? I know you got a list.
You got to talk into the mic first.
Yeah. All right, I got a shout out for Carmack Autohaus for fixing my car so I could drive it around California.
How come your car hasn't been here, man?
Because it hasn't broken.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
It just runs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just do the oil on it. The transmission started to grind. We got to take care of that. Yeah, I'll get you some synchro. I'll get you some old vintage synchros, brother.
We'll talk about the transmission.
Yeah. And then dude, you know what? We gotta give a shout out definitely to the people that kind of live through this whole culture, that created all this, so we can enjoy it. Because I mean, a lot of people feel we kind of really take it for granted, and a lot of these parts are still being made. You know, I know we were talking about how Toyota didn't make no parts, but like, that's what I was trying to say earlier with this whole restomod thing. Like, dude, I can get you so many parts. Like, I don't think people understand that like all of this can be had.
Yeah.
Just really just ask. People are afraid to ask, and honestly, if you have like Koki black interior, bro, all those parts be made. You know, like a lot of those parts you still get all the clips and everything, or just, you know, privacy covers. Like, people just, I mean, you wouldn't think to order that brand new, and you can. You know, there's so many trims and everything, and just try it, dude. We can run the number, get the part number, and send it in.
Toyota, please start reproducing parts for the AE86
yes,
chassis.
Please.
So many of us are dying for these parts right now.
Yeah.
They don't make blue stuff.
A lot of people aren't willing to pay though, too. That's the thing.
No, they're willing to pay.
Some are.
I think it's coming around. I think a lot of these guys that like the car, I mean, they're finally starting to do something with their life.
Yeah.
They're finally starting to realize, like, you know, I need like a regular 9 to 5, and like, no, I'm playing.
Or they're like, oh my gosh, the
hustling.
Zinky bumper I've had in my attic is like worth like $2,000 now.
Yeah,
like, I'm ready to unload these, man.
They finally get some new wheel bearings and like a hub that is an NRG, and like, you know, they like spice their car up decently, and then they don't drive it. So drive your car. Don't just buy parts for it. Toyota, make parts so we can drive. Stop being afraid to drive your car. You don't know if tomorroow's promised.
All right, so Shock the Mob on Instagram. Brandon?
Bermuda.86, like the Bermuda Triangle. BERMUDA.86 on Instagram. Come find me.
This guy, like, he got the hot,
like
the
that?
hot 5, bro.
You like
what
that?
Is this, like 99.7?
Oh my God.
Hot 997. You can find Shock the Mob at Shock.
Shock, dude. This is Jacmob 86 being like, you know, dude, just got it. Yeah.
All right, cool. Thanks.
So tell us where to find you.
Oh.
Yeah,
come on, tell us about the shop.
Tell us about the shop.
Yeah, Autohaus _Z. We have a, well, you guys probably know we have a podcast because you're listening to it. Mm-hmm. But on Instagram, CM Autohaus on YouTube. And yeah, feel free to shoot us a message, any like suggestions or anything for any of our media work. And then, yeah, even just to say hi, feel free.
Yeah, reach out to any of us. Thanks for having us on.
Okay, yeah, thank you guys again, man.
Thanks Z.
Appreciate it.